that you are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire pro wrestling community. And I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are
Rope Break.
How's every single one of you, family? Another Thursday that we just got used to do NXT UK right away because the show is great and we enjoy the
and that's how the family loves it. They love it right away. So
yeah,
give it to them.
In 1 hour, and if the family wants it, we give it to him.
Yep.
So, family, we have NXT for you guys. Like the Fallout show, after that great match of Ilja, Dragunov, and Walter. We're going to be talking about everything that happened in this show. Not as great as last week's, but regardless, it was pretty decent show, I will say.
Well, yeah, that's it's hard to follow a match that legit. You know what I mean? Like you do something that good, and then it's like, oh, next week. It don't matter what they did. It's just like, oh, because what's the first thing they showed us? Highlights from that match. They showed, the doctors checking on Ilja. They're like, are you good? You know where you are? Is it legit? Did you subscribe to Rope Break? He's like, yes. So they, that's the first thing they show you. And it's like, that match was so legit. There's no way they could follow it. I mean, next week and stuff, I think once people kind of like, okay, calm down and, whatever, we'll be back. But yeah, it's just one of the things. How do you follow something that legit?
Absolutely. We know how to follow something that legit because we started yesterday with NXT review. What's next for the Velveteen Dream, Jean-Paul? Tommaso Ciampa and him got the main event. It was a pretty good match, but thankfully and thank God Tommaso Ciampa won, so the Dream is completely with no future. We don't know where he's going. What is he going to be doing next? Jean-Paul wants him completely banned from the WWE and the wrestling business. I just feel that he needs to be away for a 1 year or two. So we'll see what happens on that. So after that, the guys, check out what Jean-Paul did a beautiful video on AEW Dynamite. Go home show for Full Gear. Tell us a little bit about it, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, this was good. It was good. Because like I said in the review, I'm gonna be a little bit positive with this. I'm feeling good today, so I'm not gonna shit on anything too much. But I really like the stare down, like we have here in the thumbnail, way better than Jey Uso and the Tribal Chief on Friday nights. This is how you do the emotion because it seemed real. He's like, I sat at your kitchen table. I know your mom. I know the promise you made her. Anytime you bring in mama, it's always legit.
I know your mom, Jean-Paul.
Yeah. There's no mama on Friday Night SmackDown. It's just, Afa and Sika. One of them looks like a mama, but this was good. So I like this episode of Dynamite. I know Cody and Darby Allin will be good. Kenny and Hangman. I'm looking forward to Full Gear.
Oh yeah, the Full Gear. We're gonna be covering everything. So please just stay tuned for that. It's gonna be a good show. Cody got his name back, so it's gonna be Cody Rhodes. So I finally got my name back. But like you said, Jean-Paul, the show started with the recap or highlights of the greatest match of 2020, at least for Jean-Paul and myself. Ilja Dragunov against Walter, Jean-Paul already talked about that. But then we go to Gallus. Gallus is back. Joe Coffey made his return. So this was to me was the idea was good. The execution really poor for me, Jean-Paul. I wasn't happy with the match. I wasn't happy because Gallus is great, but the three guys that went against Gallus, they were not too great. I just didn't like how the match turned out, and then they went against Sam Gradwell, and he's just a brawler from Blackpool, and then he went with Pretty Deadly. So that's the matchup didn't make any sense to me because he looks like a metalhead, like a brawler, and then Pretty Deadly comes out with that kind of 90s pop song.
The Breezango, teenage girl heartthrob and stuff. Yeah. No, I agree that the mixed team, that was clearly, it was okay, who's going to win this? Gallus, returning Joe Coffey, come on. And the one thing that's funny is when they say is I didn't realize Joe Coffey was so much shorter than the other two.
Oh, yeah.
That looked kind of funny. The leader's the little mob boss.
Wongan, he's really tall and everything. And
and even Mark Coffey, too.
doing
but this was good. And, Sam, was it Gradwell? He wasn't. This is his return in 2 years, and he looked good. And they kept playing that up you were away for 2 years, you're bullshit and everything. And of course, like I said, Gallus is going to stand tall. You're going to want to push them. They're the tag champs, but it's so much for this guy. He returns after 2 years, and he's the one who eats the pin and everything.
Yeah. I think that was an injury, right?
Yeah, because he had a knee injury, and then that's what, at the end of the thing, when Joe Coffey took out the knee, and he was like, it's done, and then he hit his finisher, it's like a clothesline, I forget, it's the bell or something. He hits a clothesline, and then he pins it, but, Pretty Deadly, they kind of looked on, they're like, hey, if you want to kick that guy's ass, we don't give a shit. They're like, we want the belt. So I think this feud with Gallus and Pretty Deadly still going to go on. This guy was just a casualty of war, I would say, but it was pretty good. I liked the in this thing, Pretty Deadly just to me was like a bump machine. They were just taking bumps all over the place, making Gallus look strong. That's what this match was. They'd be like, hey, Gallus is back, Joe Coffey, not that Gallus went anywhere, the tag team, but, now they're complete with their leader. So
yeah,
I think that's all this was.
Like, that's what I said, for what we've seen before from, NXT UK and having, the guys, a good show for, both teams, this one, it was just pretty one-sided, I will say.
Yeah, this could have been shorter, I thought.
Shorter, and also like I said, from the beginning, the guys pretty deadly. They're like, oh, and also Gradwell is like, really, guys, because how he's coming out of the theme song, he's like, rah, and then you hear like, na 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 na.
Yeah,
really. So from there, I'm like, okay, done. I felt drink, like that. So Jean Paul, let's move on to the women's match that we had, and it's Leah James. She's debuting. She's they said is in the early stages of her career. That's what it was, and she was against Jeannie. And this was a pretty decent match for what I see. I can see this girl turning into another Xia Brookside. She was really athletic though. She did a few moves like scissors. She did hurricanranas. I like this. So I can see she has a future as a babyface. What do you think, for example?
Oh yeah, I agree with that statement 100%. I really like Ginny in this though. To me, she reminds me of a Charlotte fused with and I'm only gonna say Tennille just because of the the model, fashionista aspect. But the whole thing with Charlotte is the attitude. I think she even called herself the queen of NXT UK. So Charlotte's the queen of WWE. So there's the similarities there. Just the way she handles herself, the attitude where she's the whole match, just I'm better than you, Aaliyah. You're bullshit. Smacking her in the face the whole time, and just it was really good. I like Ginny a lot. I think that she should be the one kind of pushed in the title picture, but we'll get to that, in a segment or two later. But this match was really good. But Aaliyah James, I think the future is bright for her, but, Ginny's the star right now.
Yeah, no. And, I like the tiger kick. That's what it was. The Yushin Time, the liger kick. Nigel McGuinness said that. That is nice. Yeah. I like that, and always I know you pop for Yushin Thunder Liger, and I do too.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. The execution, she got the win. She was cutting a promo. She was cutting a promo about how Piper Niven was the one that is supposedly the last person that was number one contender for the women's championship, and she's like, oh, you're crap, you're bullshit, and I don't really like you. But then Piper Niven showed out Jean Paul, and he's like, oh, say it to my face, Jean Paul, say it to my face. And then we actually got to see Kaylee Ray. So she's back, and she was like, well, you two are fools. You two are funny. You two won the goal. But it's neither. I like how the fashionista says, I have killer instinct. It reminds me of the game. It reminds me of combos. Reminds me of
that's legit. That's legit.
Yeah, it reminds me of the theme song, all of that. So, and then he says, well, I want to see one of you have killer instinct. And then Piper Niven Jean Paul went absolutely unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely unhinged. She hit the Michinoku driver on both, on Leah.
Yeah, I was gonna say she had a 90+ combo. The guy was from Killer Instinct was screaming.
Yes, yeah, she did Michinoku driver on Leah James, and also on Ginny on both on the chair. So it was really good. I like this a lot. On different side of Piper Niven, even Nigel was saying, maybe Kaylee did a miscalculation on the thing because she actually woke up a side that she didn't know that Piper Niven had. So it's really cool. And then they kind of follow it to the back, and then in the back they were still fighting. Piper Niven took the title. It's no, it's mine. And Kaylee Day is oh, give me my title back. So what is this gonna what is the outcome of all of this, Jean Paul, in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Falls count anywhere. Kaylee Ray or Kaylee Day against Pepe Niven. So what is? If she doesn't win right here, Jean Paul, I want her to just come to Impact, with Nevaeh and maybe with Taya Valkyrie. But if she doesn't win here, I don't want to see Piper Niven ever in a title match.
Well, this is what I would do. You had this match falls count anywhere. Well, because of that, I guess it's no DQ. Then I was gonna say I could easily see Ginny getting involved, getting revenge, and then you make it a triple threat. And then you could have, if you want Kaylee Ray to be strong, not get pinned, or you want to do something, a triple threat is a good way to protect someone. Whoever you want to protect, they're obviously the one who doesn't eat the pin. Yeah. So that's something you could do, because you could easily have, you want to protect Ginny, have, Ginny, maybe she hits her finisher and then Piper Niven throws her out, hits her finisher, do something like that. But it's the not fantasy book and go with what it's in reality. In 2 weeks, I agree. If that's the matchup you're going to do, and there is not going to be no interference, no plan of a triple threat or anything like that, if Piper Niven doesn't win now as a heel, the only thing you got to do is have her join Kaylee Ray and be like her muscle, her bodyguard. That's the only because because after that, what else are you gonna do? Like you said, is are you gonna send her to the normal NXT North America because they have more women than they know what to do with. Yes. So you can't do that unless you're going to be sending Toni Storm back or somebody, but that one makes zero sense. So no, you better
will make Storm 0 sense.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, so I hope
AEW.
No. Well, yeah, I mean, they need all the help they can get, but, not with Tony Khan as the booker. But this is, I know if she doesn't win, I hope it's a full-on heel turn, because right now it looks like they're both almost heels, because she laid out Ilja, because Aaliyah's like a baby face. You know what I mean? It's like if she would have been like, oh, no, we're legit, but then just cracked, Ginny with the chair, it'd be like, oh, okay. But
I like the headbutt that she did to Ginny, too. They sounded really good.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, we'll see what happens, but you mentioned something that is going to play out. And you just said it. Gene is going to get involved because that Michinoku driver will not go with no consequences. I'm just telling you that. So let's go talk about Jean-Paul Rampage Brown. He's going to be doing is he in ring debut? There you go. In ring debut next week. He was also got a promo right there. He was actually welcome into the Performance Center, like the NXT UK Performance Center. And I remember Mastiff was also there. He's like, about time, son.
But I like that, and I don't know who that one trainer was. Now, obviously, trainers are usually former wrestlers, but that one trainer who was showing him around was jacked as hell. I was like, what? Is this guy going to get in the ring? Damn, he looks better than half the people we see.
Yeah, he looks better.
This dude looked jacked. I was like, holy shit. But no, a Rampage Brown, I'm excited for him. I hope they push him, and he could be one of the guys who he had a lot of, attention coming in here. I don't know what the plan is for the main event with Walter, no Tyler Bate. Ilja just lost. No Pete Dunne. Who knows? Maybe they're going to build up Rampage Brown to take down Walter.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. Well, we said maybe Rampage Brown is going to be the guy that...
Because he definitely seems, at least right now, I'd say like a baby face. He's always like, oh, hey, guys, legit. He's not like Carrion who just shows up and kills people.
Yeah, exactly. And he probably, in the indie scene, he's probably really popular.
Oh,
so yeah. What's up, son? It's like, okay, we know each other, legit, yeah. Let's talk about Eddie Dennis. Eddie Dennis got a promo with, the Hunt. So he was really cool because it was like the man and the beast, and he was talking about the animal and the primate, and talking about how they have this friendship, 15-year friendship with Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, but he also was saying that he felt like stolen for those 15 years, because they didn't treat him right. So the feud keeps going between all of them. So you can see that he's like, well, I align myself now with these two guys, so now we're going to faction and we're going to just take care of Flash Morgan and Mark Andrews. That was good. I like that.
I really like this. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just saying, it reminded me of, the Professor Jake Edwin that we had, a few months ago, very, educated, eloquent, slow, really good. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. That's the first thing I thought of, too, when the Eddie Dennis, I was like, wait, I'm like, hold on. I think this guy's stealing one of our, interviewees' gimmicks. No, but this was really good. I like this promo because, Eddie Dennis, he's like, yeah, I was friends with these two guys, and they used me. Yeah. And they were also friends with the Hunt for 15 years, and they used them. So he's like, it's like, hey, our enemy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of deal. So, now they're teamed up. I really like the mask that Primate and Boar had. Like the mask, looked like a gorilla, then it looked like a boar or a pig or whatever. But, yeah, that was, and I love when he cuts the promo and they get hyped up, and I love when he goes, shh. And they just stop. I think that's the coolest thing. I like that. I don't know. I pop for that. So this is a good feud. See, this is how you can do feuds in the tag division that don't have to do with the title. This is nothing to do with is nothing to do with the title, and it's legit. Do we see this on Monday Night Raw? And Friday Night SmackDown, anything like that? No.
No, we'll never see that. So, I absolutely agree with you. So, NXT has a lot of, depth, and, whoever's right. And I know Shawn Michaels is behind all of this. So, at least the Harvard Kid is doing something really cool with the NXT guys because they're using them, like you said. Feuds that the title is not really involved, you can actually play with a lot of more, elements. You can use a lot of, for example, see friendships, betrayal, a lot of more of your personal life, a lot of all those things to create it. And it's working really well. So, Jean-Paul, before we go to the main event, let's go to, what is going to be the next week's semifinal, and that is going to be Dave Mastiff going against Trent Seven, the guy from Moustache. And this is going to be, for me, I think it's going to be pretty decent. You know, like they were playing out that like Mastiff got the only knockout in the whole tournament, and then Trent Seven just did like a freaking roll up. So we'll see. You know,
this match will be really hard hitting. I don't see another knockout. I don't see anything like that. To make a prediction with what we know who won the main event, I'm gonna just say for the better match, I'm gonna say Trent Seven wins this thing.
Yeah, Trent Seven.
You know, but I mean, Dave Mastiff, like if he wins this round, I would want to see him win the whole thing. Just because of like how big he is and how dominant, like no one should be able to beat him.
And also because who the other person that is going to be in the final is.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, we'll say, you know, I can't see A-Kid overpowering, you know, Mastiff. So I know, but Trent Seven, that would be a great match. So I'm excited for this one next week.
Oh no, absolutely, Jean Paul. So like, you know, let's go now to the main event, and the main event was this, Jean Paul, the A-Kid against Noam Dar. So like this was like, you know, I want to say again, like the first 2 rounds, pretty much scouting each other. You know, a lot of like holds, a lot of like, you know, not really wrestling per se, or like, you know, the matches like in the 1 or 2, like, you know, like speed. You know, it's not really picking up. You just don't, you know, see like, okay, where is this gonna get? Okay, I'm waiting. All right, legit. Is it gonna get better? No, it's still there. So like, we always have to wait those 2 rounds. It's like, you know, sometimes it makes me want to just start watching from the 3rd round because there's no falls. At least that's how I feel. I don't know how you feel, Jean Paul.
Yeah, they told the story in like the first 2 rounds. Obviously, like they got to, you know, do the feeling out process and everything. But you know, Noam Dar was just cocky. He was like, oh, you know, I'm the better technical wrestler. I'm, you know, the better this, better that. Noam Dar just thought he was the best, and I thought he was too. He was my pick to win the whole damn thing, and then, you know, he does this bullshit to me. But I liked at the end of the first round when he kind of crotched A-Kid on the ropes and then kicked him off, and he was like, you know, like you're a loser, and you know, and then it was just kind of like, okay, now A-Kid is like, oh, I got to deal with this cocky asshole, come back, and then he did. But Noam Dar, you know, it, like you said, but nothing in the first 2 rounds. It was just kind of that you know, feeling out process until they really get things going, because they wanted this to last 6 rounds. They didn't want to boom, 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 rapid fire pins, and then by round, you know, 3 or 4, it's over. So in round 3, though, Noam Dar gets the first pin, first fall, he taps out, which I guess was good. He tapped out, and then they're like, you know, maybe he did it to save himself, and you're like, okay, that, you know, it makes sense. But then in the next round, not even a minute and a half into the thing, A-Kid rolls him up. And it was like a really weak roll up. To me, if you're going to do that, it has to be a small package. I don't like when they do like, oh, let me like lock your legs in mine, and then I flip backwards and I bridge. Because to me, it's like if you're going to kick out of some crazy high impact move, you can't flip one shoulder up from a bridge. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, to me, so that's weak. I'd rather have seen a small package or something like that.
They always say, Jean Paul, that the logic behind that is because like you use all your strength to kick out of the first move, right? You know, like the devastating move. So therefore, you don't have enough power to move your shoulder.
Wow. I don't know about that, but I mean, no, I like you said, in wrestling logic, sometimes you got to leave it, you know, out the window. But so then it was tied, and it's like, okay, now we go into, you know, the 5th or the 5th round, because there was no falls in the 5th round.
Yes, and then it was like, that's why they went to the 6th round.
Yeah, because this went to the 6th round, and it was good. I just don't like, you know, you and I said right before we record, like, you know, Santos has, you know, the Phantom Driver, you know, Randy Orton, the RKO, Undertaker, it's these big moves. These guys hit him, and you're like, okay, it's done. And then with A-Kid, whether it's his MMA, you know, background, that's his main thing or whatever, it's just like a lot of submissions. It's not like, oh my God, he hit it, or like a Stone Cold Stunner. Like, you hit that, you know it's done.
You know, like a move, you know, a finishing move, you know, not a submission hold. That's what it is, you know.
Yeah, like, because it's not even like the ankle lock. Like, Kurt Angle, like, would grab the ankle lock out of nowhere in the crowd. I mean, maybe it's because there's no crowds. You know, if somebody puts on a submission and the crowd explodes, that definitely makes it, you know, a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
So maybe it's, you know, it's the no crowds that hurt the submission finishers, but, you know, Noam Dar tapped out. I don't like that, but I guess that fits, you know, his heel. He's kind of like, oh, I'm the best, but then when he gets his ass kicked, he's like, no, please, you know what I mean? So
kind of like Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, kind of like the cowardly heel. So maybe that's what it was. Like, he just tapped out, but, you know, this was my pick to win. Noam Dar, the whole thing. A-Kid was your pick to win the whole thing. So, you know, one of us had to lose, one of us had to win. So your boy's going to the finals.
I mean, but see, like, I'm not just going to go along with you, because it's just like, I don't really like how, like, he doesn't have, again, like, that devastating move. You know, he's good with like the submissions and everything, but I just don't like how he just is like it's like kind of like what Timothy Thatcher is, but like a very, you know, lower version of what Timothy Thatcher is, you know, because Timothy Thatcher has a whole arsenal of like moves.
Yeah, and the one thing, I just like a little on commentary, nothing with his moves, it just, you know, it's like a kid. It's like, oh, who's that? Oh, he's just a kid, you know, like a kid. But I like when Nigel calls him, he's like, oh yeah, the Spaniard. I'm like, that's badass.
The Spaniard,
Like, that's badass.
They should start calling me that instead of the Hispanic, the Spaniard. That would be pretty legit. So, like, people, if you want to start calling me that, that would be pretty great. But like you said, in the end, 3 submissions. Well, it was like you said, like the one pinning combination, like that was like the one that like got the win, and then the other 2 submissions. So that's pretty much what we have. And then like we gotta see a kid, or like you said, the kid or the Spaniard is gonna advances to the final of the Heritage Cup. We'll see. I think that like for the match caliber, I think like you said, Trent Seven is gonna be a lot better than Mastiff. And if A Kid wins the whole thing, I hope that they give him like a finisher. You know, like
they give it to him. They're like, "Oh, here you." It's like in the video game, you unlocked, you know, this new move. No. I mean, he just. I think that's just his style. I think that's just his style. But like now, with how everything played out, and you know, I really thought there was going to be a Noam Dar, Pete Dunne thing, like a program, but obviously that's not happening. I think, you know, as much as Trent Seven has really put this brand on the map, I hope that he wins the whole thing. Just because it's like he was never UK champ, you know, he never really like had a run with the belt or anything. Yeah, he was the tag champs in NXT. Were they tag champs in NXT UK? I know they were normal NXT. So that's there was nothing. Yeah, it's like, let's, you know, give him something legit. You know, he's the veteran. He won't be here forever. The Silver Fox or whatever they call him. So give him something. But, you know, if A-Kid wins it, he deserves it just as much as well. Or Mastiff, too. We're counting Mastiff out. But, you know, all 3 of these guys, I think, would be good, you know, first winners.
If Mastiff wins, then, you know, the prediction is for everything for Mastiff to win. Because maybe that could turn into a title match. And it will be good to see, again, Mastiff against Walter. But if A-Kid, or the Spaniard, I'm going to keep calling the Spaniard, he wins it, then... You know, that's gonna be like even like I don't think he's as good as like Ilja Dragunov, so it will be like pretty much, you know, like.
I mean, I still hope that program's not over because I still want to see Dragunov be the champ, but you know we'll see where they go. That's the one thing about NXT UK. It's exciting because the avenues are all over the place. There's so many ways that they can go with stuff, so it's exciting.
Absolutely. So, you know, family, this pretty much closes like our review for like NXT UK for this week. You know, thank you so very much. Remember, tomorrow we have SmackDown, Jean-Paul and myself talking about all of that. And Saturday, right after the pay-per-view is over, we have, you know, Full Gear AEW, you know, lots of good matches like Jean-Paul said. We hope that it's going to be a good pay-per-view. So to close the year when it comes to AEW. So Jean-Paul, remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world.
Well, you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, of course, our home right here on YouTube, the original Rope Break, and alleverythingentertainment.com.
Right there, yeah. So family, thank you so very much. We'll see you guys, you know, tomorrow for more professional wrestling, the best content ever. Jean-Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say.